Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 259, recording on Monday, January 26th, 2026. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And on this week's show, we'll be discussing the games from the Xbox Developer Direct 2026. 4 games that we will have updates on, the big titles for Microsoft this year. And we'll get into some other stuff we played, including Mio, Memories in Orbit. How you guys doing?
Good.
Not too bad.
All right. I was just reminded of something and I forgot. Oh, we did a Let's Play or a Game Junk Plays.
News to
Of
me.
the final
It's hard to
chapter
believe. I know.
of Split Fiction. We have completed Split Fiction. There might have been some audio issues. Sean is looking at potential solutions for that, but it was a 3.5 hour marathon sesh last night, Sean. We did it.
4.5.
4.5?
Yeah.
Oh, it felt like
shocked.
3.5.
It felt like 3. I was like, what the hell?
That's like a binary domain-esque run you guys did there.
Look, I'll just say I think about a 12-hour sesh in Yotei on Saturday. I think I played 12 hours.
Holy shit.
So I was
Pretty
gaming
good.
hard, and I'm about 12 hours into Mio. So I'd say I put in from Friday to Sunday, I'm going to say a solid 28 hours of gaming this weekend.
That's good. Now,
Remember who games the fucking hardest on this show.
now those audio issues, were those like your mic's peeking out because the yelling was just going off the charts? Or is this like more of a technical issue?
No, the main recording, the game audio didn't record. We have a backup, but it has game and voice. It's kind of mixed up. So I'm just trying to figure out the best options.
Yeah, you like iron out the wrinkles on this recording process over the first 5 Game Junk plays, and then you wait 9 months to do the next one, and you forget what the setup was. So
That is an issue, yes.
It
that's
happens.
definitely on us.
It happens.
But let's get into Xbox Developer Direct 2026, unless anyone has anything else they need to bring up.
No?
No.
Okay, so last week, Xbox had their big streaming showcase and started with their typical kind of graph paper grid highlighting 3 developers. In this case, it was 2 developers, Playground Games twice and Game Freak.
Game Freak.
And then there was a surprise one in there, which we'll get to. But the showcase started with Forza Horizon 6. And not surprising, a very popular series, a great series, I think most of us would say. One of the most fun, if not the best racing series nowadays. Former Game of the Year, potentially influenced by Payola on IGN.com, Forza Horizon 5. And we got a look at the new game, which takes place in Japan. I'm playing Yotei. I played Shadows. I played Rise of the Ronin. I'm feeling a bit of Japan fatigue personally. Not the most inspired choice, but it did look good. What did you think of the footage we saw?
I mean, for me, I did also get the Japan fatigue, though I haven't played nearly as much of those games as you have. But I thought it looked good, but also I thought it looked like other racing games in this kind of mold, like even Forza Horizon 5, to be honest. I'm not a car aficionado. I don't see all the minutia that goes into these cars. I don't care about all the little specks of dust on the windshield or whatever people are seeing. And, you know, I'm sure there's like driving differences between the cars, which I know when you play these games, like the shit cars handle like shit and the good cars kind of also handle like shit, but in a different way. And then, you know, you got your like dirt buggies and that stuff. That's all cool. But yeah, I didn't blow me away. Thought it looked nice. That's about it. But, you know, I'll play it when it comes to Game Pass. I'll give it a whirl, but I'm not like beating down the doors for this thing to come out.
Yeah, my first thought was I can't wait to delete half of my hard drive to make space for this thing and then play 5 minutes of it. But
Stream it, baby. Stream it.
I did like what I played of the last one. It just never really hooked me. And, racing games are not really my thing. But this one has some intriguing elements. It's just like, I don't know what you can add to it at this point. Like, I think they talked about adding some more exploration stuff, which I guess is kind of cool. I do like the setting. I agree that, there's been a lot of Japan open worlds as of late, but this is modern Japan, so that's kind of interesting, I guess. And I'm struggling to think of what other new features they were showing off. Like, I mean, they just brag about, well, we got hundreds of cars, we've got this tech, we've got that tech, and yeah, it looks amazing. But I was just waiting for some new gameplay feature to really sell me on it, and I can't think of anything. Can you guys think of anything?
No, when I think of that series, what I love are kind of the scripted events, those custom races where you like race a train or a plane. And there was some, I think, in the previous game where there were these audio mixes, like specific music and a certain road or location that was paired for these very curated experiences, which is what I like about that game the best. And the variety for a racing series, I really appreciate. But I didn't see any new hook or element other than it's in Japan to really pull me into the sixth entry, other than it's a good franchise, and I'm sure I will. But I think the only new feature that I thought was kind of a dud personally, it means nothing to me, was the estate idea. And I'm really sick of every game having an estate mode where you can place buildings and do things. I will concede maybe that's interesting to some people, but I guess the potential I could see for this version of that is you could probably set up roads and maybe make your own kind of track around your estate, and you can invite other people to it, which could have potential. Obviously not for me, but being able to create your own tracks or a playground for people to race in maybe has some potential for people who like these kind of games. But even then, secondarily, if it's not the unique features and curated modes for Forza Horizon that make it compelling to me, it's usually the tech of racing games and the look of them. And like any racing game, they're very limited in what they're rendering on screen, and they can push tech in interesting ways. And I thought this one looked great, as would be expected, but nothing new, like a metallic paint or other times where it's like, whoa, this is really amazing. The only thing that looked tech-gasmy to me was the tire stuff. They kind of featured tires and wear on tires that looked interesting, but I don't know how much that would play to your visual experience of a race, especially for me. I kind of graduated to racing in like cockpit mode or like pure first person mode, so I don't even see the tires for half of that stuff. So yeah, I was surprised, I guess, to see it releases in May. It's coming out relatively soon. My guess is so that they can still release it in the financial year for PlayStation in October or November and get the sales twice. Because I think out of all the games, they said all the other ones I think are releasing day and date on PlayStation as well as Xbox, or that's the impression I got. But this one, I did not think that. I think it is exclusive to start on Xbox.
I think they did say it will be out on Xbox or on PlayStation later this year.
Right, but not the same day. I got the feeling all the other games I think are simultaneous releases, but do not quote me on that. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect. I know Huck said it. Sean, what do you feel about the Japan thing? I feel like we've just had so many Japan games, and I love those games, but even it featured Mount Yotei, which is clearly the marquee landmark of the game of the same name for PlayStation, and it feels like it's just been done. Are you
sure it wasn't Mount Fuji?
Was it?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I thought it had like the concave top, like Mount Yotei, but I could be wrong.
It might have been. Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, there's definitely some burnout there. The only difference is this is, you get the modern side of it as well, like going through, Tokyo and all the different districts. That looked kind of interesting to me. And I can see why, like, the country itself has a lot of different landscapes to choose from. So I could see why you'd, choose that to set the game. But yeah, I hear you.
I think you're right. It was Mount Fuji. I apologize. Now that I'm seeing an image of Mount Fuji, that seems like what I saw. But it's tough because I'm like, well, where else can you place these games, right? Like, what locations have enough variety and intrigue for this type of thing, and they're kind of limited. And compared to, especially considering what they've done in the past, I don't remember them all, but you start running out of options. So I'm not really.
Well, kind of along the same lines, like the tech is so good now in these games. Like the only thing you can do is like ray trace the whole thing and then add like tons of crazy weather effects or whatever you might want to add. So I think in order to up themselves, they need to pick locations now. It's kind of like Assassin's Creed in that sense, where you need to create this super realized world that's very realistic to kind of just be a place people want to visit almost, rather than like pushing the boundaries of gameplay and stuff like that. And that's what is supposed to draw you in now. So especially in the Horizon series. And I think, I don't know, like racing is tough because when you basically solve racing in a digital form, you can't really like evolve it to something different. Like that's what you're doing. You're trying to simulate driving. So when you have like all the physics models perfect and the steering tight and the brakes and the tire wear and the crash damage and, cracks in the windshield that are perfectly replicating, the rocks that are hitting you and stuff, like how do you expand on that? And it's not like that's even fun gameplay, the stuff I'm talking about. So, I mean, how many game modes can you do with racing? Like, it's not much. Like racing is racing. So I think kind of like from a gameplay perspective, I think these games have almost topped out.
Yeah, and there is like an element of, with racing games, once you've played one, like you're saying, you've done them all, and you're looking for more community modes or innovative, maybe online or multiplayer ideas or new approaches to racing that might pull someone in. And generally it just feels like between Black Ops 7, this, and maybe some of the other games, Microsoft is playing it so safe. It feels like they're in some weird restructuring phase and like deciding what to do with the gaming division and taking very few risks. So I think the only thing left to mention is there was a tease at the end with a like giant robot foot, which I don't know. Is it Robotech or Gundam or something? But I was hoping it was going to be Godzilla. I thought it was going to be a Godzilla tie-in for sure, because this series is known for unique DLC, and I didn't know what the foot was. Did you guys know?
I don't even know if I noticed that.
Yeah, I didn't catch it, but that is kind of interesting.
Well,
yeah.
I kind of see it in the still image on the IGN website. I don't know. It could be Gundam, the Gundam thing, but I don't know
I'm just
for
looking
certain.
it up quick, see if someone's.
Isn't there like a giant Gundam statue somewhere in Japan? I don't know if that like. I guess it would have to be hinting at more than just, hey, you can go to this location. But
Yeah, it looks like it's Gundam, the Barbatos toe design. So that means nothing to me, but that could be interesting. You have to give this series credit for like its inventive DLC, like the Hot Wheels stuff, and there's another one that was pretty cool. So yeah, all right. So that game is pretty much what you'd expect. The next game was by Game Freak, Beast of Reincarnation, coming to Xbox, PS5, and PC. Before we get into it, have they addressed whether these games are playable on Xbox Series S? I assume they are, but has that ever come up again that every game was going to be playable on both?
I mean, I don't think they've ever had to distinguish like that. I seem to remember having a discussion early on about like, could that ever happen? And I feel like you guys made fun of me for saying, could that ever happen? But I mean, yeah, it would be pretty surprising if they did.
Well, especially if these games are like launching on PS5 and, technically could be demanding at this point. We always thought that would be like a handcuffing of their game development. So I'm just never really followed up on that. And I don't know if listeners, youtube.com or watchers /Game Junk, has there been any controversy like the new Nintendo DS performance issues surrounding this? I know obviously Cyberpunk had issues like that, but that's not quite the same thing as Xbox titles. Okay, so this game is like a third-person action game. You play as like a not necessarily samurai, but a woman with a sword that has a large dog companion. And this is a unique vision from a game designer at Game Freak who had a very compelling quote. Sean, do you have it ready?
Yes, definitely caught my eye. He was talking about the development process, and he said, I began by quietly asking my own heart what kind of sensations I wanted the game to offer. And it's a beautiful quote. I mean, it's
like, what a pretentious way of saying, what game do I want to play? Shit like that drives me nuts in the video game world. But, it's this kind of overgrown vegetation world with corruption. Pretty standard fantasy story. I think it's probably, including a game I worked on, the story or premise for 50% of video games. We're getting rid of a corruption that's spread in the land, or a blight or something like that. But I will say that it had some potential. Huck, what were you thinking of this one?
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I mean, these sort of third-person action games with the parry and the dodging and all that stuff, like I'm not like huge into them. So it's not really my cup of tea on this one. But, the almost like turn-based dog mechanics that they showed, where, I don't know, it looked like maybe you charge up something and then you could call in your dog and you pick from a list of abilities they can do on stuff. And that'll look kind of interesting, like a little bit of a mix of the two genres. And, I thought some environments looked really good. Some looked kind of sparse. And I don't know, in the direct, they kept they're like, oh yeah, we worked on Pokemon this, Pokemon that.
Yeah.
Oh, look, we did Pokemon. Look at us. We're so good Pokemon. Buy this game. And that sort of rubbed me the wrong way, to be honest. Like,
well,
if you're selling this other game.
And other games, they said, we worked on these 2 other games that are like, I haven't heard of those games. So
Yeah.
not a great side.
that jockey game, but it wasn't really in the same realm as what they're working on. So
Yeah. So I mean, they're obviously, talented. They made this game and it's about to ship, so it's going to get out the door. But I mean, I don't know, just the presentation of this, I I have trouble focusing on these presentations that have the text on it, the closed captionings. And so I'm trying to look at the screen, and I'm also trying to read. And then the gameplay they're showing is so quick that I'm trying to read and trying to look, and then all of a sudden the gameplay is gone. And I'm like, I don't want to rewind and read it and then rewind and watch. That's not how I want to approach this. I don't want to watch it twice. So I probably missed a ton of stuff about this game, to be honest, just because of the presentation format. I don't know if there's a better way to do it. Obviously, you want to highlight the Japanese speaking people, and they're obviously probably not good in English, so they're not going to speak in English. They're going to speak in Japanese and show off this game. So that all makes sense. But just from a pure marketing perspective and selling me on the game, it failed in that regard. And I don't like having to read. I think some of the Nintendo ones, they'll do a soft dub of they'll have their voice, but it'll be lowered, and then they'll have the English dub over top, if I recall. And that's so much more approachable from so you can still see they're presenting, and you could probably find the Japanese version if you really looked, but it's just so much more approachable for an English speaking audience. The States is probably one of the big markets for this game. Maybe China, actually. This is probably a big target for China, because I know that what's that game, Wukong or Wu something that's huge in China. Yeah, Black Myth. That's the one. That one is huge, pretty similar gameplay from what I could tell. So I don't know. The game looks fine, but probably not my style, and the presentation kind of didn't do it for me.
As for the subtitles thing, I think I had similar thoughts, but it is because there's so much motion in a game, and it's fast, twitchy combat. If they put subtitles over concept art, or just an image that lingers a bit more and is paired up a bit better, it would sell the game a bit more. I agree, but I thought it looked pretty good. This is my kind of game, and I love huge mythical creatures, so that is in line with stuff I like. So my 2 thoughts. The positive, I thought there's a lot of potential for locomotion. So the idea is you use growing plants to basically, they were creating pillars out of the ground and basically beams in the sky that you could traverse. Now, they seemed pretty straight and narrow in the context of what I remembered in this video presentation, but that could be potentially frustrating and empowering. And I'm curious to see how they handle like just growing vines wherever you want, which is an interesting tech that could be really cool. And then on the somewhat negative side, getting towards the end of the presentation, they started incorporating other factions of enemies that were like kind of automatons or robots that were way less interesting to me visually and felt pretty generic. So I think the game has some potential. It is slated just for 2026, no official release date yet. I've got my eye on it. I think there's also a bit of third-person combat fatigue. But even just playing Ghost of Yotei quite a bit, I thought your wolf companion was going to play a much larger role in that game, and I feel like it barely shows up during combat at all, at least when I'm playing. And so if they could nurture that relationship in combat a bit more in this game, I think it could be quite good, but I don't think a game has ever done that really well. So opportunity, but very difficult to pull off, in my opinion. All right. Any other thoughts on Beast of Reincarnation?
I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. It did, like, the plant thing looked kind of unique. It's supposed to be post-apocalyptic, but it doesn't really feel like a post-apocalyptic game.
Yeah, I think they said it was fine set at like 4096 or something like that. And like, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Like, didn't really like, nothing tied us to like the current world 2,000 years in the future that I could really make out.
Which, you know, is maybe fine because we've got plenty of other post-apocalyptic games anyway. But the one thing that so the slow motion like attack thing where they highlighted that, you know, you're going to kind of slow it down so it's almost like a turn-based RPG. It kind of seemed like almost like the Fallout that system or whatever, or something like kind of in between. And I don't know if those systems work that great for me personally, but I don't know. I guess it at least seemed like they were trying to do something unique there.
I think they oversold that feature. I think it's like just like slowing down time for a millisecond to tell your beast what to do is how I think it'll play out.
And the only other thing was just when people, like, the word brutal was used multiple times in this segment, and I was like, okay, so it's probably a Souls-like, or, you know, I don't know. Just as soon as you use that word, I'm like, okay, I'm probably not that interested in this.
And this will come up a bit with Fable, I think, as well. But again, I know I bring this up a lot, and it's probably my number one issue, or up there for my number one issue in games right now. It's like Unreal games looking very similar, especially with like vegetation. And I could just tell right away this is an Unreal game, and it's just got a look to it that I feel like I see a dime a dozen, and that goes for Fable as well. And I'm just, as much as good as it's doing in terms of providing technology to any developer, I think it's also starting to affect the visual quality of games as well. Not in it like it looks bad, it just looks a little generic, which is kind of the opposite reason of why I'm drawn to games. And I guess I'm alone on that one.
No, I hear you. I was just thinking about that this is Game Freak, and like, is this a big deal that they're working with Xbox? Like, I don't know. I know Xbox is really they're always trying to expand their market in Japan because they're like, you know, way behind Nintendo and Sony. But like, I don't know, is this exciting for people? Like, obviously Pokemon's huge, but like, are Pokemon fans going to be looking at this saying like, oh, I got to try that game that's on Xbox?
Yeah, I don't know how much cachet the Game Freak name actually carries over the fact that Nintendo oversees those games. I would guess not that much, but I don't know. I still think it's got potential. I'm kind of excited for it. Feels like a game that I will be awaiting reviews for when we get closer to the date.
Do you think it's potentially not on a Nintendo console because they're having trouble getting it to run on a Switch 2?
Possibly, but I have to say, if it's running on Xbox Series S, which I'm assuming it is, I think it would be easy to get it on Switch.
Marketing that it's on S, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm actually really impressed with the power of the Switch 2 and how good some games look on there, like recent titles. So
yeah, it just seems that Game Freak has such a tight relationship with Nintendo that they would push to put it on there. Because that's where
unless Xbox or Microsoft went in there and said, "Hey, we want to work with you, but you're not putting it on Nintendo's platform."
Yeah, I know, but it's on PS5,
yeah,
so
it's gonna be on PlayStation.
Yeah,
it's not like and it's not like tied to Pokemon. So the only like fans you would automatically get is like super fans of Game Freak, which would mostly be on Nintendo, you'd think. So wouldn't you want it on Switch too? It's strange.
That's a very good point. I think you're right on the money there, Huck. Like you'd think that would be clearly this is about making money for them at this point, and they'd probably make the most money on
I would think so.
Switch too. Yeah.
Or at least the potential for the most money, because that's where your fan base is.
Yeah.
But there is a big PS5 install base, so that and Steam, giant install base. Those are also good platforms.
Okay, next was a little burning ember on the screen that expanded and revealed a new game from Double Fine, a surprise game called Kiln, which is a pottery party game where you build pots on a wheel, put them in a kiln, and then have them participate in a head-to-head party game. And obviously, this one is all about Sean. This feels like a Sean game. Yeah. He loves Double Fine.
He is the pottery wheel expert of Game Chunk for sure.
Yeah. So, Sean, we're going to you first on this one. I feel like you are loving this thing.
I mean, I do like Double Fine. I will defend a lot of their stuff, but yeah, this one I'm kind of in between on. Like, I could see myself definitely playing it with the family. Like, it feels like a Gang Beasts kind of thing, which we have had fun with games like that. And I like the concept. As with most Double Fine games, I feel like the concepts are always super cool, but I don't know. It's weird. Like, I was rewatching just the trailer today, and I was like, it doesn't read that well. Like, in terms of like pottery-based characters, like it felt like it's just a lot of colors, and you can't really tell what's going on. And I don't know, but like I'm sure it's still going to be fun, and I do like the creation aspect of it. I don't know. I guess the visual part was the thing that I was a little unsure about.
I agree with that. I think it did seem very similar colors, like a lot of orange, a lot of purple from what I remember. And a lot of stuff sort of blended in as like the effects were going on, even the like spraying the water. It wasn't really stylized at all. It was like kind of like grayish blue looking blobs, like, and not really refractive or anything like that. It looked kind of basic, I guess would be the word I would use. And I had a hard time sort of distinguishing what the gameplay was actually, what you did and what sort of things. Now I know they said you run and duck and dodge or whatever, dip, dodge, whatever you do. I don't know. But then they said everyone has like their own special move, and it seemed like they were talking about like character classes a bit, like small jug, medium jug, large jug, and all I could think of at that point was like ice hockey for the Nintendo. And okay, so we just got like skinny guy, medium guy, fat guy, and then you put on like a move on them, I guess.
Well, don't shit on that. That still holds up.
I'm not saying that's not bad. I'm not saying that's that bad. I'm just saying that's all I could think of when I was listening to this.
Well, that's good. That's a good thing to me.
They were going on about, you could create whatever you want and like do all this stuff, but I think it all boils down to like probably those three archetypes.
That is a good point in the sense that they're selling that you create these unique characters and you can really put your own design into it, but ultimately they still have to fall into one of these groups. And maybe that's part of what I was also disappointed by, is that I didn't see a lot of crazy variation in all the different characters. but I don't know. Maybe I wasn't looking close enough.
I guess I'm the most intrigued then, this was by far the most impressive game of the showcase to me. Just the idea of the pottery wheel and that tech, which seemed to work really well in shaping it, I thought could be very cool. And I thought, the idea is unique, kind of like stacking and other Double Fine ideas. So that's compelling. But as a designer, all I have watching the brief footage we saw is questions, which you guys have gotten into already. Like, how do you balance this? How do you create a custom shape and then have it move in a unique way? Like, what are the limits of that? How do you limit or enable the player and not make it feel like you have less choices? What are the phases of construction versus combat? Do you have pre-made loadouts or pots that you use? Or is it like before each match, you do like a quick craft? Or are there
like,
different
do your
modes
characters, like if they get broken, is that they're done for good? Can you repair them? Or do you then have to go and create a new one, like on the fly? Or
Yeah, I would think you would use it for a match, but I'm more like, is part of the appeal of the game that the construction is part of a match, and your resources are allocated as a team and deciding how to use those to construct versus pre-making stuff that you bring into a match. And I could see a case for both. I wouldn't be surprised if both game modes exist in the final game, but I'm just thinking about all the different directions this could go. But I will say all those questions, when I saw some gameplay footage and just the basic balancing of idea of massive clay limits your mobility and how you sculpt it. Once I heard it's about carrying water as much as it is about engaging and stopping people and having combat with that, I'm like, okay, that's where the balance lies.
There is going to be a nice tug of war there of like, how do you balance trying to achieve your goal while trying to stop the other team from achieving their goal, for sure.
100%. And obviously comparisons to Splatoon and other games like that, which are about like covering area or managing resources rather than just killing other people on a team, could have a lot of potential. I didn't notice this when I watched it the first time, but I agree with Huck. I find a lack of distinction in the environments. Things really blend together, and I don't think that's ideal for a game like this. I think I would think you want to tone down the environments a bit and make it more about the water and some of those colors and maybe colored water potentially, but I still think it has a lot of potential. It also has a lot of potential for failure. This game could be absolutely unplayable, but I think if they brought it from prototype to this, I think they have something, would be my gut.
Yep.
I think just the pottery part too. I could see that if it's fleshed out enough, I could see people just kind of enjoying that and just sitting there and just making pots and stuff. So,
and as much as I think Double Fine, I think their games are very overrated, but their ability to infuse comedy and present their ideas in an appealing way, including developers, talking comedically about their favorite pottery builds, they're really good at that. They are good at selling their idea. Whether the games sell it as much, that's a debate for another time, but I am excited for Kiln, also releasing this year on Steam, Xbox, and PlayStation.
I must say, this presentation I really enjoyed from just a pure entertainment aspect, and I thought they did a really good job presenting the game, making it interesting. The little bits of humor they drop in are like just enough to hook you to keep kind of like paying attention and make it fun. So I thought they did a really good job of selling this part of the direct, for sure. I was not ever bored.
All right. Any other thoughts on Kiln?
Nope.
Okay. The last game of the developer direct, Fable, probably the one that people were excited for on the IGN poll. When asked what people were most excited about after the showcase, Fable dominated. And this is the first new Fable game in a long time. And obviously not developed by Lionhead, developed by Playground Games. And I got to say, initially, I wasn't that sold on the visuals. It does feel a little generic, unreally to me. But by the end of the presentation, I thought it's the game is in pretty good hands, and they understood what makes Fable Fable. But what did you guys think of the Fable presentation?
I mean, I liked it. I thought I had a little hard time understanding what exactly the combat would look like. It looked a little slow, but I mean, the original Fable combat wasn't that fast either, so it's not really like a big thing. Looked like you still have spells and stuff you can cast. The thing that sold me is just the British humor of this game, and there was one where it was like, I can't remember what it was, but he was like buying all the stuff, and then they were talking about how people remember and like treat you differently depending on how you act, and then it like pulls up this little like, I don't know, card that describes how the person's thinking about you, and it's like, you know, spoiled twat or something like that. Like, and I'm like, oh yeah, I love this British humor, and they obviously highlighted the chicken chaser, which was like a big thing from the first game. I don't know if you remember that like meme that went around. Like, so if you like kick chickens and shit, then everyone's like, oh look, it's the chicken chaser, it's the chicken chaser, and everywhere, like, and that's like all you heard in the first game, and it became so annoying that people, anyways, I guess that was you had to be there to enjoy that one, like the arrow in the knee type meme thing that went around. But I don't know, I thought it looked pretty good. I didn't think it looked as like unreally as you're talking about. The only thing they didn't really touch on, which I don't know if they did this in Fable 2 or just Fable 2 or also Fable 1, but like the good and evil aspect of your deeds and how it actually shapes your character. I don't know if that was just Fable 2 when they introduced that, or if that was in the original one as well.
That's definitely in 2 and 3. I played the most of 2 and quite a bit of 3, and it's the same thing. Like, I mean, that really is what, you know, I know people don't like Peter Molyneux, but he brought a very distinct sense of choice, consequence, and like a simplicity. There is such an elegance and simplicity to Fable 2 and 3. I haven't played the first one. That's what I'm worried about in this game. That I see complexity everywhere when they're talking about every NPC in the world. You could follow them do their job all day. And I see a lot of potential in that, but you know, even how you would emote with people in Fable was like just little icons and dances, and it had this like beautiful simplicity that I'm worried is going to be lost on this. But that being said, I still think it looks decent. Sean, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you're talking about the complexity thing, and it's like, I feel like the original Fable, and I think I've only ever played the first one, they sold it so heavily on like, your choices have consequences, there's so many ways you can interact with people, and I feel like it fell a little short of that.
I just want to add one thing to that specifically. One of the beauty things about Fable was it wasn't necessarily about your choices. Like it's about how you made the choices. For example, it's not like you made a decision to be good or bad. It was just what you did. It was how you played that impacted your character. If you ate food, you gained weight. If you didn't eat for long enough, you got skinny. It was just the nature of the way you played kind of dictated choice. And then there were moments with key choices, but I think that was part of the elegance of that game too. I truly think Fable 1 through 3 are very underrated games.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say, I think they oversold it initially, but I think it was actually good that it wasn't as complicated as it seemed like it might have been originally. But now it's almost like they're following through on that original promise. And again, I'm like, okay, this sounds cool, but like, is that too complicated? We're having to worry about what everybody in the town thinks of you and following their daily schedules and everything. Like, I don't know, it could be a bit much, but you know, then again, just played, what was it? Seance of Blake Manor. And it's a lot of stuff like that. And I really liked it. So yeah, I don't know. I think the humor is definitely something that, you know, is unique to this franchise. There's like kind of a Princess Bride-y kind of fairy tale, but with a bit of humor in there. And I think I'm looking forward to that aspect of it for sure.
Yeah, I think there is a lot of good things in this presentation, and I'm probably more excited than I was before, especially at the start. I'm like, I was almost writing it off. And by the end of the presentation, I'm like, you know what? I think they actually know they're going to pull this off. I think it's going to be a good Fable game. And I just like, when they talk about choice, they use a specific example of there's a giant and a decision you make, they'll either be a character later or they'll die, and there'll be a hill that's a permanent fixture of the landscape. And it's really easy to have one moment like that, and like a megaton in Fallout 3 moment, and just kind of use it as this showpiece for choice. But those are really easy to pull off. Like it's not a lot going on there. So how much they commit to stuff like that for an entire game is a completely different story. It's easy to say that in something like this and have something that you put a lot of time and resources into. But let's be honest, when you're making games, the more time you dedicate to different choices and paths, the less curated they become, the less probably, I would just say they are less impressive, because you don't want to put that much time into something 5% of players are going to see, or 10%. Like it just, the juice is not worth the squeeze, so to speak. So it'll be interesting how much time, game time and company time and resources they dedicate to stuff like that. But I hope they do it, because I miss Fable. And I can't wait to play it on PlayStation. Can we get Fable 1 and Fable 2 and 3 on PlayStation in the meantime? I'd love to play those.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
All right, that's going to do it. Are we going to give a letter grade for this thing?
Of course.
We can. I mean, it's tricky because it's only 4 games being shown off, but I was looking back at what they showed last year, and it was Doom: The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Expedition 33, and Ninja Gaiden 4. Ooh. Feels like it's a step down from last year's. I'm not sure what else they've shown in previous years, but it's like a C+ for me.
I'm exactly where Sean is. I'm like, I kind of want to say B-, but it doesn't quite feel like that. I'm going to say B-, the double minus.
I'm going to be gracious. I'm going to give it a B. I thought it was pretty good. Not too bad.
This guy wouldn't shit talk Unreal. This guy's applying for jobs at Microsoft. Something's going on over there.
No comment.
All right. Let's get into what we played. Do you want to talk a new game, Mio Memories in Orbit, first, Sean?
Yeah, let's do it.
You've had less time than me, and you're the Metroid-like guy, so give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I only played maybe an hour and a half, something like that, and my initial play session was not great. And I had talked to you after that, Frank, and I was like, yeah, I don't even know. Like, it felt like, I mean, it definitely is very influenced by Hollow Knight. And it just early on, it feels like you're kind of wandering aimlessly. There is a map system, but first you don't have a map. And then when you get it, it's like you have to go to this specific place to look at the map. And I was like, oh God, this better not be the way it is for the whole game. Thankfully, it is not. But I was definitely, it felt like a couple hits, you're dead. I don't know. I was like, okay, this probably isn't for me, but I'll give it another shot. And then I went back, played a bit more, made it past the first boss, and I'm feeling more positive on it now. But I still have my questions and doubts. I do really like the art style. That was the initial thing that drew me to it. It's kind of this cool hand-drawn kind of painterly look. Like, it reminds me a bit of Gree, I guess. I think it is
3D modeled, we should say, like 3D models, but in like a 2D hand-drawn, not quite cel-shaded art style.
Right. And I was going to say, I think it's a French developer. Is that?
I believe so, yeah.
Right. So I don't know if there's some, influence there from some French comics and stuff, but yeah.
Douze Dixièmes, I think I'm saying that right. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, the visuals are definitely the selling point initially, and then it's Yeah. If you like Hollow Knight and those kind of games, I feel like you probably will like it.
This game has been an emotional roller coaster for me. I don't think I've had such a, I don't know if this is the right word, but like bipolar relationship with a game before. So, I played the first 3 areas or so, and I was like, this is incredible. I'm surprised the review scores are so low. And specifically, I thought the bosses were great. They're like very reasonable. Once you after 2 or 3 tries, I get the patterns down and I'm like, they're challenging. They're not as hard as Hollow Knight. They're in this great sweet spot for me. And once you learn certain moves provide invulnerability to your character, I thought it was great. I was loving this game and really couldn't put it down. And then I hit a part where the game really doesn't tell you what to do. I was very confused as to where I'm supposed to go. I was kind of lost for a while, eventually had to look it up. And then I got into basically it's the 4th boss called the hand area. And from this point on, it has been so frustrating. I think it's the closest I've ever come. I want to be careful here. I'm not actually going to conduct physical violence, but it's the closest I've come to wanting to physically assault a designer of a game. I was so angry at design choices in this game and having to run back and do the same things over and over again. As you might guess, I screamed, "Who thought this was fun?" at least 10 times playing this last section of the game. There's one boss. It's a platforming boss. And you think you're done it, and then there's a second half of it, and there's no checkpoint in between. You have to go and do the same thing again. And it has super challenging platforming. They both have challenging combat. I would say Hollow Knight's combat is way more challenging than this game. But platforming wise, it is the hardest platforming I think I've done, maybe ever. I think it's kind of the most challenging platforming ever. And it's very punishing. And if you fail, you have to go back and do stuff. And it just gets to be a real grind sometimes. But even then, the challenges themselves, when I accomplish one, I'm like, that was kind of fun. If there was just a checkpoint where I could keep retrying it and not have to walk through 5 huge rooms to get back to it, I would have loved it. So I feel like this game, these designers are their own worst enemy. And just, again, punishment for the sake of punishment. And I think they're taking the wrong lessons away from Hollow Knight and making this game. And there's a system in this game where it permanently removes your health arbitrarily. You don't know when this is going to happen. You enter a room and it takes away one of your health. Now, I later realized, and the game doesn't explain this well, that it also brings down all enemy health across the game. So it's kind of like a global nerf and / punishment, but I don't think it applies to bosses. So I was going to face the final boss in this game, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just explore a bit and maybe level up my character, make myself a little more powerful for the final boss. I kind of want 100% it anyway. And all of a sudden, I'm at the final boss. I go to another room somewhere in just a random room that I've been in before. I had been to this room before. And by re-entering this room, I lost part of my health. So my idea was, I'm going to be rewarded for exploring. I was literally punished for exploring.
Oh boy.
Any game that does that as a Metroid-like, your designers are fucking assholes. If you're listening, your designers are assholes. They're good designers, but they're assholes. And I was just so mad. And then today I'm doing the final boss. 20 tries, I'm like, this is the time. It's that when you hit that groove and it's like, I know every move they're going to do. I can dodge and parry and do whatever I have to do and not even take a hit. I'm so good at this boss now. I'm down to like the last 3 slivers of health. Boom, crash. Game crashes.
Oh no.
I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. I don't yell when I play games. I very rarely scream and yell. I'm usually very calm. I don't understand people who throw controllers and do stuff like that. I have screamed at the top of my lungs where my neighbors probably thought I was insane at this game. It makes me so mad. And I'm so torn. For all the things I love about it, there are things I equally despise. And just, I've never been this angry playing a game before in my life. And really, they should have just had me play test this game. You could have made this game just small choices. Doesn't completely remove the challenges. It just clearly, in the last third of the game, it is lacking iteration and playtesting and reducing friction, like unnecessary friction. I can tell a difference between when these guys are just being assholes versus when this is just wrong. Like any designer would adjust this. It makes no sense. Like where this thing is placed, there should either be two of them or it should be moved a little to the right, or just very unforgiving things that I think are objectively incorrect in the game. So I feel like the Metacritic is kind of right, around an 80. It's got virtues, but it's also got problems, and I kind of want to love it, but sometimes I hate it. So I'm really torn as to whether or not I'm going to platinum it, but again, when you have to wait for stuff, especially in platforming, waiting for a platform to come back or for water to go up and down slowly, stuff like that, I'm just like, why? Why would you do this? You have a good game. Why are you fucking up your own game? I don't get it. It just makes my head explode as a designer. But yeah, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like this is like I am in this place now where it's like I love the Metroid games, and 90% of the ones that come out now, I'm like, this probably isn't for me, and it's just so frustrating. And hearing you say all that stuff, it's like, okay, maybe I'll wait now. Maybe they will patch some bugs. Maybe they will add some patches to slightly soften the difficulty if they see nobody's beating this damn game. You know what I mean? Like, but I don't know. Obviously, Hollow Knight is a whole other thing, but everybody's just trying to copy it and not interested.
And I hate reading community posts and Reddit posts about this game because everyone's either like, the combat sucks, this game blows, or I love it, it's so hard, it's the greatest. And there's like nothing in between. And that's what I mean when I say they take the wrong lessons away from Hollow Knight. It's okay to have like hard combat or that requires perfection, but that doesn't mean like everything about the game gets to be hard or everything is an annoyance or everything is a slap in your face. It's just, I feel like this game just takes it too far to that degree. And I'm surprised actually, like that the head of the company, I'm curious how much they play tested their own game, because I have a feeling there's a lot of internal discussions there right now about, did we make this too hard? Or did we, I'd be really curious to hear their internal conversations as to like, no, this is the game we made and fuck them. This is what we want to make versus maybe we could have improved. That would tell me so much about what kind of developer they are. And I just wish I could hear that. But until then, I'm just going to keep playing and try to focus on the positive and not have a heart attack or an aneurysm playing this game, because I've gotten pretty close. Imagine if Mio Memories in Orbit is the game that literally kills me.
Yeah, we don't want that.
Anyway, that's Mio. All right, Huck, what do you got?
Well, I played actually a couple games. I think I talked about that I bought last week, or maybe I just told you guys, but I played the Strange Jigsaws game that Dwight mentioned, I guess, last show. And it is a bizarre little puzzle game and also very intriguing. It is kind of hard to explain. It is sort of like a fever dream puzzle game where there's a bit of meta in there where like you don't really know that there's a puzzle there and you kind of have to fiddle around to find it. And then there's other ones that are like straightforward, and it has just like a neat simplicity to it, I guess, where like some of them are challenging, but all of the rules for the puzzles that there's a lot of different types of puzzles, but it seems like all the rules are pretty straightforward for all the puzzles they give you. Not that they're hard, not that they're all easy to figure out, but I feel like I understand all the puzzles that I'm trying to solve as I'm trying to solve them. Whereas sometimes in these puzzle games, I'm just taking a random guess and I don't really know what I'm actually trying to do. So in that regard, I think it does a pretty good job. I think I got about maybe 2/3 of the way through the puzzles and then kind of stalled out. But I was really enjoying it, and it is a very affordable game, isn't it? Only like $5 or something. Like it's very affordable.
Yeah, I just bought it right now.
Yeah, it's like it's like a fun. Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe it. I almost feel like it's a bit like the Wrong Direction game, whatever that is called.
There is
no game Wrong Direction, because it's like this. You wouldn't expect some of these things to be puzzles, and they turned out to be puzzles. You got to like click certain things, and then there's a puzzle there. So there is that sort of aspect. It's not quite as polished or buttoned up as There's No Game Wrong Direction, but it is in that same vein. And I do appreciate the almost like what would be like late 80s, maybe kind of like art stylish they're going for, like almost like the late IBM kind of 386 kind of graphics, maybe early Windows kind of graphics they're going for. So I enjoyed it. I'll probably try to go back and play it, though I've kind of tried to move on to other things. I just wanted to kind of sample it, be a sampler, dabbler, as we say. But yeah, that's kind of like one thing I dabbled in this past week. Fun little game.
Nice. Yeah. I love jigsaw puzzles. If there's one PC game I got to give a little time to before next week.
I wouldn't say it's all jigsaw puzzles. There is like
an homage to jigsaw puzzles.
Sure.
I'll mention that the same developer as this game, their previous game is a free game, and it's very similar. It's called 20 Small Mazes, and it starts out seeming like it's just mazes, and then it gets weird from there. I only played a little bit of that one, but if you're curious and you want to just get the vibe for what we're talking about, check out that game first, maybe.
Almost maybe like a little play on like Frog Fractions, like that sort of, you think it's one thing and then they totally change it up.
Yeah, for sure.
Sean, anything else for you?
Yeah. What do I want to talk about? I guess, so I played And Roger. Talked last week about Despelote, and then had to try the other big short narrative game. And I like this one. I mean, I like it more than Despelote. I mean, Despelote is more kind of just a fun, this feels like it's about something a little deeper, a little more serious, definitely going for something emotional. And I think it mostly succeeds on that front, but it also has, like, the gameplay is kind of engaging. It's weird. I don't want to, I feel like people treat what it's about as a spoiler. So I guess I will not say exactly what it's about, but it's kind of, the art style reminds me of Florence, which was sort of a narrative based game that I think was on mobile initially. But it also does have kind of slight meta elements as well, or at least it seems like that's what it is. But there's a reason for it all. You can probably figure it out pretty quickly where the story's going, to be honest. But it's like an hour long, and I liked it quite a bit. Also pretty cheap, $5, something like that.
Nice. The only other thing I've been playing, I think, is Ghost of Yotei. I finally dedicated some serious time to that game, and I was like, the first 5 hours, I'm like, I can't wait to make this my game of the year. Just go Blue Haze all the way. This game fucking rolls. And after about 5 hours, the grind started to set in. But I think why this game has kind of been not that hyped up or wasn't getting the typical PlayStation acclaim, I think it's the combat system. I know Sean and I had a brief discussion about this on our Let's Play, our Game Junk Plays yesterday. And I think the combat is really bad. And I think cinematically, it feels like every decision from a direction standpoint this game team made is they want things to be as cinematic as possible. So the combat camera, how you ride your horse, all the presentation elements, you can't skip things. Obviously, there's stuff like Kurosawa mode and Miike mode, and having to like play the guitar and all these mini games, which I think they reveal their own weaknesses by allowing you to skip them after you do them once, which they're fun once. I do not do them over and over again. But I do think the combat sacrifices like theatrics for functionality. And I just find I'm playing on medium. Enemies chain together attacks in superhuman ways. They do like 3 blue parries in a row, followed by a yellow attack that it's physically impossible for me to input that on the left shoulder button and parry those consecutively. It is I physically can't do it. I'm pushing the L1 button as fast as I can, and I can't do this. And I'm not, there's like super challenging bosses that are, I'm like, I tried doing this one super high-end optional boss, and I'm like, this is impossible. I'm on medium. This is insane. And I hate the choice. I know there's an accessibility change for audio cues for ranged attacks from enemies. Like, you have to listen for them, and I think that's a bad choice. And I just feel like there's too many enemies at times, and it's just, they are moving at superhuman speeds. And I feel like I'm at the mercy of the game in those moments. And I'm like, I'm playing difficult games. I'm playing Hollow Knight. I'm playing this Mio game. I don't feel that in those games. And it's all I feel playing this.
Yeah, it's weird because like I assume you're farther than me now. So maybe that I will come to this. I haven't had that issue, but I do feel like the parrying, and it could be the gear I have equipped and stuff, because I don't like parrying. So I tend to find things that will make it easier. And I find that I'm kind of almost just like randomly hitting the parry button, and it's working most of the time. So, I mean, I guess that's not great, but it's not frustrating me. Like, I do still generally, if I'm one-on-one with somebody, I am waiting for them to attack. I am parrying it, but it's, yeah, when there's a lot of people around, it's a bit of a crapshoot. But it does, like, I like the crowd control element of it. Like, it feels like the Arkham games to me. I do kind of enjoy that aspect of it. So I haven't had an issue really with the combat so far for the most part, but I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe I might be being a little hyperbolic in terms of like, it's just plain bad. I mean, in an average fight, it's really good. I think, like, 4 enemies, they're not doing like crazy fast attacks. It's fun. I like mix up ranged and my abilities, and alternate between stealth and the showdowns and all these things. I'm like, okay, that's a lot of variety for how I approach combat encounters in the game. It's just at its worst, it's just getting pummeled with attacks that are just literally coming at you at a speed that is unable to account for. And the yellow ones, you have to hold the button down to counter it or dodge it. And so I don't know how I could hold the button in the time I have, which maybe is an indicator that I need to completely dodge it, but then just make it a dodge attack. Like, I don't understand that choice from the design perspective. So again, I like it. Don't get me wrong. It's a very polished. I'm rapidly learning that polish is like probably my number one thing, other than like gameplay, obviously, in games. I love polished games. Sound, some of the best music in a game ever. I love the music in this game. It's so good. And like, even in the other Japanese open world games I've played, obviously it's got a Japan influenced vibe, but there's no hooks. This game has hooks in the song. Like, it is really good melodies. I love the music. And I love the cinematics for the most part, although like random side mission conversation, I wish I could skip through some of that dialogue. It gets exhausting at times especially when I can read the subtitle and I just want to move on. But, and I do hate swiping up on the D-pad for wind. That will always drive me crazy. And it doesn't work half the time. I find there needs to be a workaround for this. I don't know how there isn't. But other than that, it's really good. I will beat it. I think it'll end up on my top 10, unless it gets really frustrating towards the end. But what I would expect Well, maybe not. I think I would actually typically expect more from a AAA PlayStation title, but it's still very good and definitely better than the AAA titles from Xbox this year. Like, not even close. So it's in a weird spot where if this was released 5 years ago with before God of War, it would have been very well received. But God of War and other games have done this and elevated it in a much bigger way.
Yeah, I have thoughts on why it's kind of been not ignored, but just, the reviews were a little lower than maybe you'd expect. And I also was playing it after 5 hours or whatever, was kind of like, it's good, but I'm not feeling drawn back to it. But now that I've put, 10 or 15 hours in, I'm really enjoying it. And I don't know, I'm in a weird spot. I don't think I'll have it beat for next week, but there is a chance it'll be on my top 10 list. So we'll see. Maybe we'll talk more about it next week.
Last thought, I might have said this, but visually incredible. Like art direction, every place, like color palettes are changing all the time, using leaves, wind, other elements, like just to give life to every frame of the game. The color palette, I love it. It looks so good. So I never am like bored playing it. There's always something to look at. I love everything visually about the game. And so it's just, if the combat was good, like, or I should say great, the combat is good. If the combat was great, like Hollow Knight level, I think it would have had a chance to be my game of the year. But the combat is that big of a detractor for me right now. And last thing, sorry, having to switch between like weapons and swords and then the arrow you're using on the swords, it's just too much. Like I fire the wrong thing all the time. I've been playing for 30 hours and I still get it wrong all the time. So there's a lesson to be learned there for putting too many options on that stuff.
Yep.
All right, Huck.
Yeah, I played a game called Your House, which is a adventure game. Now, Dwight, did you say you played this or you played a bit of it?
I think I beat it.
Okay.
It's pretty short. It's like maybe 3 hours, something like that.
Yeah, so I think I played for about an hour. I think I'm on like chapter 3 or something like that. And it's essentially a story, an adventure game where you read almost from a book, and then in the book are images on each page, and they kind of have clues of stuff you should look at or whatever. And you have highlighted words that allow you to traverse the house you're in to go to different places. And it's just a series of sort of like walking through this house, finding different clues, and then using them in the appropriate spot so far. And I think this game doesn't do anything special from like a gameplay perspective, but the art style and the way the gameplay is presented to you is pretty unique for an adventure game, I thought. And it kind of reminds me of those old, it's kind of like a take on those old point and click adventures like Myst, where there's kind of like a set image. You have to kind of find something in it and then you move around. It's not as like 3D as that. It's very 2D and it's not as comprehensive. You're not like seeing every room, but you are sort of moving from one area to the next and then finding certain clues within those areas, which is kind of similar. So I think it's a good game. I like it. I don't think it's going to probably crack my top 10. It's not doing anything special from like a gameplay perspective but it's telling an interesting story so far. I'm intrigued by the story and I'm enjoying it. I just think there's going to be other stuff that pushes this down the list, so to speak. But if you like adventure games, I would say this is one you should definitely check out. And it has a really neat art style, I think. The way, or presentation, let's say. Not really necessarily art style, presentation.
Cool. Yeah, it looks really good.
It reminded me a bit of Device 6. I don't know if you guys ever played that. I think it was a mobile game initially, but
No,
actually they just re-released it on, there's a collection of games by Simogo is the developer, the Simogo Legacy Collection. Check it out.
Oh, wasn't Device 6 Papers, Please developer?
I don't think so.
Is that? Or were they involved? Okay, maybe the image looks similar to a game they did, but all right. Sorry, Sean. Anything else for you?
Just a quick recommendation of, Huck mentioned Windswept a couple of weeks ago. I've got another kind of cool retro platformer. This one is more 2D. It is 2D, sorry, called Go Slimey Go. And it's just some nice pixel art, and it's basically like a collectathon type game. You're trying to collect all the coins in a level plus 3 sort of challenge or bonus coins. And it gets to a point where it feels more like a precision platformer, I would say. But the weird thing is, like, I don't think any enemies can kill you. You just kind of bounce off them in weird ways. But you can still die from falling in pits and stuff like that. So it's interesting. Some of the, like, it feels a bit different than maybe your typical platformer in some ways. Also reminded me a bit of Drinkbox. What was their
Mutant Blobs or Tale About a Blob? What?
Tales from Space About a Blob and Mutant Blobs Attack. Yeah, because
that was embarrassing. Sorry, Graham.
I should have known that more than you guys, probably.
But yeah, it's because you're basically controlling a little blob that moves around in blobby ways.
That reminds me, I remember why I didn't play it, because it's a 2026 release, but Big Hops, the 3D platformer, I want to check out as well, that came out last week. But the Froggy doing 3D platforming. All right, anyone have anything else?
I got one last quick one. I tried Ninja Gaiden Ragebound, and I played it through the Xbox Cloud streaming app, and it was very challenging that way. Let's just say that. I really enjoyed what I played. The tutorial was okay. I did notice a few misses that I attributed to the streaming. And then when I got to like the main first level, and guys start coming at you a little more rapidly, the delay in the input was definitely noticeable. And that sort of game, you can't mess around with the input. So I think I beat I did beat the first kind of like main level and got to the world map. But after that, I was like, I'm not going to survive any more levels playing this way. So I'm going to install it on a real gaming machine. I'm going to play it, and I'm gonna give it a fair shake, because I did really enjoy everything I had. And let me say, the one thing they do that really made me fall in love with the game. So when I watched like the trailers and stuff about this game, and they show the mechanic where you jump and then you like spin and bounce off something like a bullet or anything. I hate in games where you do that, but you have to like press down at the same time that you're hitting it. Don't play Mio Memories in Orbit, brother. That mechanic drives me bananas. And in this game, you just kind of hold A and you spin, and then if you hit something, you bounce. It's so much more approachable, so much easier to comprehend in your brain as you're doing it. I like this whole like precision press down, because half the time I'm pressing diagonal down like slightly too much and I miss it, and then I get pissed off. And then I want to chuck my controller across the screen. So yeah, I found the same thing in like Rogue Legacy. I find it frustrating in that game, even though I love those games. But any game with that press down to jump up type thing drives me bonkers. So this game does that right. So big thumbs up. Just for that, I'm going to come back to it. So check this one out. It's really fun for what I've played. Have you guys played through this one?
I haven't played through it, but I've played it and I liked what I played.
Chunk. Yeah.
I got focused on like getting perfect rankings on each level.
Oh, of course.
That's what happens, and then I just stopped playing.
Yeah.
I beat it. It might be on my top 10 list. Not sure yet. Not 100% sure yet.
Okay.
Speaking of which, that's going to do it for this week's show. Next week, finally, our top 10 list, our top 10 games of the year. The moment you've all been waiting for. And other than that, I think that's going to be it. You can watch us on youtube.com/GameJunk. Discord links are there as well. Either way, get ready for next week. We're coming. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.